I am shook! What is up, guys? It's me, Chief Fan here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a book rant. I think, actually, hold on, let me check. I think this may be book rant 20. It's book rant 20! Ah! But anyway, I have a pretty interesting episode for you guys because I found something. I.e., my new favorite book of all time. It's no longer Catcher in the Rye, guys. I gotta tell you. I'm gonna do this whole first part of the video will be dedicated to me reviewing and talking about what is now my favorite book of all time, which you probably already saw. But anyway, I'm not gonna waste any more time. There's also some a TBR that I have to show off. I also have some other books to talk about, plus a mini haul. So anyway, this is going to be a pretty jam-packed episode of let's see where this goes and see how long it is. But anyway, let's get into this. So if you guys probably didn't guess, The Secret History by Donna Tartt is my favorite book of all time now. It is just, to say that this is a masterpiece is an understatement, in my opinion. This is easily, in my opinion, the masterpiece. This is everything that I asked for in a book. Just everything. The writing style is beautiful, yet pretty easy to understand. The story is just so innovative for its time, and the characters are just wonderful. But I'm not going to leave it at that. I'm going to go even deeper into this. So, what is The Secret History about? What are we getting out of this book? Well, it's about a group of academics who go to this college in Vermont called Hampton College. And we're in the point of view of a young man named Richard Papin. Sorry, I keep getting that messed up. But Richard, when he arrives at the school, is easily attached to these people who are in the same class that Richard is willing to be in, which is the Greek class. Some of these characters include a man named Bunny, who people call Bunny. His real name is Edmund Corcoran, and then Henry Winter, which we'll talk about later. Oh my god. There's Julian, there's two twins named Charles and Camilla, there's a homosexual named Francis, there's just a whole ton of great characters, but those are the main guys. And something happens that I'm not going to say in this book, but their world is turned upside down once they get a point of view in from their teacher, and things happen. And from there on out, it just becomes the greatest murder mystery that I've ever read in my entire life. Oh yeah, there's a murder, but I'm not going to say what happens. I'll tell you that much. This is not a whodunit, but a whydunit. That's been a common theme throughout the book. That's what people phrased it as, and it truly is a whydunit. In fact, the prologue itself, the first page and a half, tells you who kills who, but the whole book is about why they did it, and that is just so much more interesting. It's so much more innovative than the whodunit. Oh yeah, who murdered this guy? Oh, Poirot, you gotta solve this. Nothing against Poirot. I've actually never read a Poirot book, even though I have read Agatha Christie, but this just is so much more innovative, so much more creative. It takes its time while it doesn't feel like there's any dull passage through this book. And it's all done with Donna Tartt's beautiful writing. There's no secret that I absolutely adore Donna Tartt's writing, and this is easily the best thing she's ever produced. In fact, it's probably the best thing that anybody's ever produced, if you ask me. The Secret History is just has a certain writing style that is not there within the Little Friend and the Goldfinch. This is very much upscale. She wrote this in a first-person point of view, just like the Goldfinch, how it's in Theo's point of view. You're in Richard's point of view when you're reading this. And it's done so well. It is done brilliantly because you get into the mindsets of not only Richard, but every other character, because Richard kind of dives into the psyche of every other character that he interacts with. And it's just brilliant because you seem like, oh no, they're gonna be name dropping the whole time. It's not that whatsoever. It truly is wonderful. But the best part about this book, the thing that impressed me the most, is not the story, even though it's a masterpiece. Not the writing, even though it's probably some of the best, if not the best, I've ever seen. It's the characters. This cast of characters are so amazing. These characters are so amazing and are everything that I ask for in a character. They are realistic. They have defining personalities. They have great interactions and relationships with each other. And they're just everything but one thing. Likeable. Now you might be thinking, wait, they're not likable characters? And why do you love this cast so much? Why is this your new favorite character cast of all time? Because if you ask me, a character cast doesn't have to be likable. These characters, if you look at them through the surface, are despicable human beings. They are some of the worst people you may have ever seen in your entire life, if you've met them in real life. But it's just how Donna Tartt portrays them as kind of like anti-heroes and kind of like tragic heroes that kind of are twisted in a way that makes them so brilliant. Kind of like a... And I know these guys are studying Greek, and I don't really see like the Greek undertones with this book because I don't study Greek or mythology myself. Even though I've read a couple mythology books, like I've read the Odyssey and the Edith Hamilton's mythology book, but I'm not really familiar with the Greek aspects, so I can't make any like allusions between like what each character represents in like the mythological world. Why is that word so hard to say? But I absolutely loved this character cast. It is the best I have ever read. Easily, even better than To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm saying that right now. You can kill me all you want, but this is the greatest character cast of all time. It proves that you don't need to have likable characters to get an amazing cast. Yeah, sure, they're despicable human beings, but they're everything that I ask for in characters. I don't mind if these guys are despicable. That just adds to their interest, if you ask me. That's how Holden worked, so this is how these guys worked. And really, I could go on and on and on with the little details that I loved about this book, but one, I'd get into spoiler territory, and two, it would kind of ruin the aspect of this book. You just gotta read it. You've got to trust me. It is the greatest thing I've ever read in my entire life. And even though I still love Catcher in the Rye, this just takes the cake for me now. This is everything that I ask for in a book. And if you want a weird illusion, I may link the video down below on the time when I first read this, because this is a reread for me. Because I just reread this like about this week. And that's where I fell in love with it, is I gradually grew over time. I liked it at first, but it gradually grew with me over time, and now it's my favorite book of all time. That is the sign of a true masterpiece, if you ask me. And honestly, I just have to stop talking about this, because I can talk about this for an eternity. It's the greatest book I ever read. It is the greatest thing I've ever read. And I know I kind of throw the term out there, like, oh, it's the best book I've read all year. I'm settling with this for, as of right now, unless the books I'm going to talk about later are even as better than I remember. This is the greatest thing I've ever read, in my opinion. It is everything that I ask for. It has the college setting that I absolutely love. It has the writing style that I usually love. It has the storytelling that I love. The characters I absolutely freaking adore. It's a masterpiece. Just a true masterpiece. So, with The Secret History, since I reread it just about a couple of days ago, I decided, hey, let's read some other books. So I decided I'm not gonna be pulling out this month, but I've decided to cut back on my reread TBR, because I think I've already found my all-time favorite. But there's a few books I do want to give another shot at that I feel like I didn't get as much out of last time, or I wanted to get, or at least I want to get more out of. So with that, I'm gonna get into the pile with The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is easily the #1 book where I saw myself, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't love this book when I first read it, and after reading The Secret History and because I read this having the same thoughts as I did when I initially read The Secret History, and you guys now know what I think about this book. So I decided, you know what, it's really short, so why not just give it another shot? Really dissect into it. Just give it a very good read, because I feel like I just kind of zipped through it the first time I read it. So maybe this may be my next reread, so maybe I may get this later to this later in the month. But I do love Kazuo Ishiguro. I love Never Let Me Go, which if I love this, I'm going to try to reread Never Let Me Go about later this year maybe, but at the same time I don't want to just reread these over and over and over again. I want to get to more Kazuo Ishiguro books, even though I've heard these two are easily the best. Easily the best. But I do love Kazuo Ishiguro from what I've read, and I hope that I love this even more than I did the first time around. The next book is kind of an obvious one, but it's The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. This and the last book I'm going to show you are the longest books in the pile. I just feel like I've gravitated towards more of the Japanese style of literature and just Murakami in general. Besides, when I first read this, this was the first Japanese novel that I've ever read, and it just mesmerized me. But at the same time, I feel that I get so much more out of it the next time around. So you know what? Let's just give it a shot. Let's just give it another go. I think I want to love this, just like I did the last time. So yeah. Alright, the next book is another book that I loved the first time around, but I feel like I'm going to get so much more even out of this time, and that is Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. This is easily my favorite LGBTQ book of all time. It is about a transgender, person named Cal, who is born. Oh crap! What's the first line? Hold on, I'm just gonna get to the first line. I was born twice. First, as a baby girl, on a remarkable smoggless Detroit day in January of 1960. And then again, as a teenage boy, in an emergency room near Petoskey, Michigan, in August of 1974. So that pretty much gives you kind of an idea of what this book is going to be like. I've already read this. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I remember loving some of the great characters in here, like Milton. Milton was a blast to read, and Cal was really good, and like the family before was really great as well. And this kind of pulls a Midnight's Children. Like, if you don't know what pulling a Midnight's Children is that the first 150 pages are set in the past, and it gradually goes up. And about at the 150 page mark, the narrator is born, and then it goes towards the life story told through a first person point of view. And I absolutely love that storytelling. That's what Midnight's Children did, that's what Cutting for Stone did, and that's what this book did. So hopefully I love this book just as much, if not more, on my second time around. It's phenomenal from what I remember, and I love Jeffrey Eugenides, so I hope I love this as well. Alright, the next book out of all the books out of here, this one was just kind of one I pulled off the shelf because my friend recently read it, and he loved it, really enjoyed it, actually. But when I first read this, I liked it. I didn't love it, but it gradually grew on me, so I thought, hey, you know what, if it's gradually growing on you, give it another go. It's really short as well. The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Out of all the books that are on this list, if I was to remove one of them, this would be it. But at the same time, I'm really excited to get into this one again. This is about Esther Greenwood, who is kind of a sick person, who's kind of like not a sick person, what am I talking about, sorry. But she's kind of strange. Let's talk about that. But she's really brilliant. It says on the back that she's brilliant, beautiful, enormously talented and successful, but slowly going under, maybe for the last time. That is amazing, but the book I felt like the first half was just a little too slow for me. I didn't love it. But the second half I remember absolutely loving. So hopefully I get into this. I hopefully will love it just as much. Hopefully I'll love it much more than the first time I read this, so yeah. And then the final book that I read that I'm going to be reading is probably the one you guys probably expected. It's the only classic on this list, but unless if you count, like, The Bell Jar as a modern classic, but this is the only classic on this list. Herman Melville's Moby Dick. this is just the greatest book I've ever read. If you ask me, The Secret History is my favorite, but this is critically, on a critical standpoint, the greatest book I've ever read. And I cannot wait to get back into Ishmael, Queequeg's, and Ahab's journeys to hunt down for the white whale. And it's just so amazing, so deep, so gritty as well. I remember this book just being absolutely gritty and realistic. And I love that style of writing. I don't care how many bad ratings Moby Dick gets. It's a masterpiece, if you ask me. It's an absolute masterpiece, and I cannot wait to get back into this. So that's kind of like my TBR for, like, the rereads I'm planning on this year. If I get to any more, yeah, that'd be pretty cool, but those are, like, the bare minimum of books I'm going to be rereading. So I already reread The Secret History. These are the ones I'm going to be trying to reread, which is 5 so far. I'm hopefully going to get to more. And now, let's get on to the books that I'm currently reading and have planned on reading. And the first one is the one I'm currently reading and absolutely loving, The Nix by Nathan Hill. I am reading this with Peter over at Peter Likes Books, but the problem is I don't think he's started this yet. I'm already 2/3 of the way through. What? But I seriously could not put this thing down. I'm already on page 380, so a little less than 2/3 of the way through, but I'm definitely more than halfway through. But Nathan Hill's writing reminds me so much of David Foster Wallace. Kind of like that funny, yet dense, yet serious tone that David Foster Wallace has. This is in here as well, but this is definitely less confusing than Infinite Jest. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is a lot more easy to take in than Infinite Jest, but also kind of experiments with different styles of third-person point of view. And it also kind of like one standpoint has like one part of the book is a book within a book, which is easily the part that I fell in love with the most so far. Because it just, if you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly why it is, because that book, that's just where everything unravels about our main character's life. But this book so far has many storylines, but it ultimately surrounds one man, Samuel Anderson, which, if you ask me, is the greatest name I've read so far this year. He is an English professor at kind of like a low-key university, and there's many things that's happening to him. But the main thing that's happening to him as of 2011, which is the latest part of this book is set, is his mother committed an act of a crime, and he has to defend her, or at least he has to help defend her, not in court, but just actually defend her, and there's also his childhood story in here. There's his mother's story in here. There is so much packed into this book, and I absolutely am absorbing all of it. I love this book. It's easily one of the best books I've read so far this year so far, and hopefully the last third is just as phenomenal. Alright, the book that I have next, after I'm going to finish the next, or maybe I'll get to this sooner, is The Nimrod Flip Out by, what's this guy's name? Edgar Carrette? I don't know. But it's probably, I don't know. But this book sounds very fantastic. I've heard these stories are absolutely hilarious and strange and wacky. And I see on top of here that Jan Martel, author of Life of Pi, blurbed this. So, you know what? I like Jan Martel. I liked Life of Pi. So, why not give this a shot? So, yeah. Alright, the next book that I have is One More Thing, Stories and Other Stories by B.J. Novak. These are very short stories. Like, even though this is a not terribly short story collection, the stories are only like 5 to 10 pages, which kind of scares me because I was really expecting at least 20 pages out of these stories, but you know what, if it doesn't end up being that great, I'm not going to be terribly surprised, but I'm also not going to be terribly surprised if I heard this is really good, because I have heard this is really good, and I hope I like it, so yeah. And the final book for the video is The Animators by Kayla Ray Whittaker. This is an absolutely gorgeous cover. I see, like, Emma Donahue has blurbed this. Cynthia Dapri Sweeney, the person who wrote The Nest, which is another famous book that I happened to write last year. And the animators is kind of like set around about like the animation industry. It's about these two women who go into like Disney, I think it is. Like they go into like drawing and like no, not Disney, but like they go into animation and they try to make a feature film with them as like director and producer, and then they have to just I don't know much about this book, but that's the extent of what I know of. But it truly sounds fantastic, and I cannot wait to get into this. This just sounds something like totally up my alley, and I hope I love this because I've heard nothing but great things about it. So that was the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below on what you guys thought of the video, and as always, I'm Mega Man Chief Fan, and I'll see you later, guys.